Welcome to East Tennessee Pinball. They've got this Harley Davidson, and I'd say she is ridden hard and put away wet. So I did a little work on this when it first came in, not much, but I figured out was wrong with it. That's broke. That's what I heard Joe whisper in my ear when I looked at this. You can see the batteries, they leaked all over it. They belched all over it. This board is toast. It's soaked down through, leached over the other side. So that's no good. I got a brand new one. I got this from the land down under, land of kangaroos. I've never bought from this place before. If you look at it, it is a complete, absolute duplication, and every chip is socketed, which I kind of like that. There is a Rotten Dog board replacement for this. I generally don't buy those unless I have to. So they've got the battery holder on here, but they've also got the NV RAM. So I'm thinking that battery holder is absolutely not necessary. I may just get that off of there so nobody tries to stick any batteries in this board. I haven't plugged this thing in, or I guess I did plug it in. I did plug it in with the board out of there, and I do have my voltages there. The 12 volt, the 28 volt, 18 volt, and the 50 volts. Those all light up. My blinking light's blinking. Not sure if that's supposed to blink or just be on. I don't know. Oh, that's had some heat stress. Anyway, oh, one other thing I saw. This fuse here was blown, F21, which is for the coils. So very likely there's a coil blown or a transistor blown on this driver board. So I'm gonna leave that blown fuse in there for now. But I'm about ready to fire this dude up. I just realized there's no backlight in here. So not gonna have that for a little bit anyway. I think I'll go about mounting this new board in the back box. So before I stick this in the game, I've got to take the ROM chips out of this board and put them into this board. So all these labeled ones, got to swap them over. It looks like that processor's got to move over too. That one there. Yep. So we get to swapping chips. So that chip and all those and those were all clean. This one I pulled out of there, it's pretty nasty. I don't want to put this nasty chip in that board, so I'm gonna either have to get this thing cleaned up really well and or get a new chip and burn the software to it, burn the ROM to it. I'm gonna start by seeing how well I can get this thing cleaned up. I also probably want to just check it and verify that it's good. It probably is, but who knows. So I scrubbed this with a wire brush. It's moderately clean. I was going to check the software on here, the ROM, but it's 1.03 on IPDB. They've only got a newer one, 1.04. So I can't check it. I guess I could burn it. I don't know if this is, trying to feel with my fingernail, see if there's a window. I think I feel a window. I think I can. So I guess I could erase this and burn it anew. That way I'd know that it was good. I'll just see if I can read it first. So I got that peeled back far enough. It's M27C 1001, and I had that in the library. So I've got that loaded. I'm gonna select that one. Let's see if I can read. If I can read the chip okay, I'm probably just going to go ahead and trust that it's good and not have to erase it and reburn it. Because sometimes when you erase it and you try to reburn it, it won't reburn, and then I'm stuck trying to find another chip. I'm gonna say it's good. How about that? Famous last words. Okay, so I got the board in there. I got everything plugged in. Gonna do a smoke test. The blue light's blinking for whatever that's worth. Nothing on the display. A blinking light is blinking. Blinking light is blinking. And 2 of the voltages are missing. And what does that say? 50 volts, or it says, can't read it, 5 volts, I think is what it says. So, no joy. We still got some serious problems. I guess I'll start by going through here and checking all my voltages. I'm pretty sure I should have those, all 4 of those LEDs. I'm pretty certain that I booted this thing up without this board on here and I had all 4 of them. But I kind of, this was a few weeks ago, I was thinking that those were kind of dim. It could be that it was just a trace voltage because the board wasn't, the MPU wasn't plugged in, and it just was just, I don't know. Now they're not plugged in, they're not working now. So somewhere not making it. Obviously that fuse, I could start by replacing that fuse. Beware of something shorting down the playfield real quick. I think I'll start there. Okay, so I replaced that 3 amp slow blow. See if it blows immediately. Did not. I still don't have the 28 volt or the 50. I think the 28 is the solenoid voltage and the 50 volt is the flipper voltage, be my guess, without looking or knowing. That fuse was good. I even pulled it out and checked it. That's just some dirt grime on the outside of the glass. So I'm gonna read the pin wiki on the power supply side of this thing and figure out why I'm not getting my 28 volt and my 50 volt. Might be something common. Reading through pin wiki, there's really not much on the power side of this board. So I'm gonna pull the board and just go through it, see if all these bridges test okay, kind of see what I can find. Check the header pins, just kind of basic stuff. They do have a section on the high voltage for the display, and my display voltages are not good. That one's correct, the minus 110, this minus 98, it's also minus 110. These are supposed to be 12 apart, and they must be 12 apart for it to work. I got my 5. I also don't have the 12 volts, which is generated from the 20 volts. Well, I clearly don't have the 20 volts because that LED is not lit. So, and I'm wondering if not having that 12 volt is messing up this 12 volt bias between those two. I don't know exactly how that board gets that difference, but it's conceivable anyway that lack of 20 volts is the reason why that 98 is not the same as the minus 98 is the same as 110. I don't know, but I don't want to mess with this until I figure out why I don't have my 98 volt and 50 volt. So I'm gonna turn this thing off. I'm gonna pull this board and put it on the bench and see what I can see. Maybe something will present itself real readily. All right, so I got this over on the bench. See that this has been replaced once before, bridge 20. That's all I can see from the top. The top looks, I'm just looking at these transistors. I mean, it doesn't, I don't really see evidence of a lot of work on this board. A couple of that transistor, that one and that one have been swapped. That bridge rectifier. That's it. So it's a pretty clean board, but I'm most interested in seeing how these, wow, okay, right away I got a short. Is that right? Oh, I'm on voltage. I was like, that's not right. Good. That would have been too easy. Oops. There we go. I think I did all of them. Yeah. Okay. That one's good. Looking for about 0.4 to 0.7, something like that. That one's good. I'd really like to find a bad one. one's good. That one's almost fractured a little bit. Well, shoot. Nothing real simple. I don't think I checked this one way down here. Damn it. Well, I just don't know. I'm gonna have to get the schematics out and start getting hardcore at this thing. So I don't have the 20 and I don't have the 50. Well, I dug out the manual, and I'm gonna feel really stupid if this is what it is. The 50 volt and 20 volt power sources are turned off by the interlock switches when the coin door is open. Damn, if that's why it's not booting, it probably doesn't need the 50 volt and 20 volt to boot. I kind of knew that anyway, but well, I'm gonna throw it back in and see if I got the 50 volt and 12 volts anyway. I'd rule that out, and I kind of have checked this thing before I put it back in there. I'm gonna check these transistors real quick while I got it out of the game, because I did have that blown fuse on the solenoid voltage. So I'm gonna check these real quick, and if I find a short, I'm gonna swap it out. Okay, I got the board back in there. I'm gonna pull the interlock. We'll try this again. The whole thing boots. I'm gonna really be pissed. Not really, but okay. We do have 4 lights, so that's progress. Still nothing. I guess my next question. Still the same behavior. This is blinking. That's blinking. Everything else is lit. But no action. So we still got a problem. Could be a ROM. I read it, but I didn't read it. I can't check that 1.03 because I don't have 1.03. So I think I've got my voltages. I've got my 5 volts up here. I've got a little bit of activity. Something's happening. I don't know what LV200 is supposed to do. I'm not even sure that it's present on the old board. Sometimes these reproductions, I think that's a diagnostic that's not present. So they've got L201 and they've got L206. I guess those are probably the same, yeah, because they're in the exact same location. So it'd be the same as L206. It's just labeled L200. Actually, no, it's 206 on there, I think. Actually, maybe it is 200. It is 200. It just looks like a 6 because that little via is right there next to it. So, yeah. So I ought to be able to read something about what it's supposed to be doing. I actually think the next thing I might do, just to rule out the uncertainty, is pull that chip. And I think there is a window in there. And then erase it and then burn a ROM to it. So I got my chip eraser out here. Throw that in there. And this says minutes, but I wrote down ×5 because, like, if it's on 5, it's about 25 minutes. So I'll let it run 10 or 15 minutes and check that it's erased, and I'll burn the new 1.4 ROM to it. So I downloaded the 1.04 file, unzipped it, and inside is 1.03. So the whole, they updated some of the files, but not the main ROM file. So I could have checked this. Unfortunately, I've already started erasing it. I took it out of here. It had only been in here like 30 seconds. and I checked it and it failed to check. So either it was bad or I erased and scrambled up some of the bits in the first 30 seconds. You tell me. Anyway, I'm gonna let this thing run, keep running here for another 5, 10, 15 minutes and get it erased if I can. Sometimes they don't erase, and then get it burned if I can. Sometimes they don't burn, and then we'll get this thing, see if we can get it fired up, hopefully. It's been about 15 minutes and I've checked this thing and it's not blank. That's kind of good news, maybe. If it's good news in the sense that if that ROM chip is bad and that's the only thing that's wrong with this game, then awesome. I think the high voltage is probably also bad. I checked that again, and I still don't have my correct voltages up there, even though I got my 20 volts down here. So I think I've still got a problem with this board, but that shouldn't keep it from booting. So, but that's secondary. But if this ROM chip is keeping it from booting, then all I gotta do is get a new ROM chip and burn some software to it. I'm leaving for the day, so I'm gonna crank this up to, I'll say 11.6, which is about 30 minutes. That ought to be enough. Usually if they don't get erased after that, then they're not going to get erased. And if I let them go, like I've done it before, where I've let them go for like a couple hours and finally get them erased, then they very rarely will they burn. So I'll let this run tonight and see if I can get it erased and try in the morning. All right, it's the next morning. I put this chip in here. I just checked it. The chip is blank. So I am going to burn the same ROM. Either it was corrupted or I had, in that 5 or 10, 15, 20, 30 seconds, I erased it. That screwed it up. I don't know. I'm gonna find the file and load it up here real quick. So there's the file. I'm gonna open it up on here and click right, and hopefully it will burn to it. Sometimes it won't. It's going fast, which is good news. If it starts struggling, usually it crashes. Ah, right failed. Yeah. I'm actually kind of halfway happy that, because if the EEPROM's, like I said, if the EEPROM's a problem, that's an easy thing to fix. I read there's very little information on this board on PinWiki. So this is the old board, but that LED should be constant. I also read online that if the EEPROM is good, it should flash Sega on the display even before the game boots. I read that on Pinside. Of course, my display is not working because I don't have all my voltages. So I'm gonna order a new chip, burn the new chip, and in the meantime, I'm going to start working on this dude and see if I can get on my voltages. So I've got, let me get my lamp right. Okay, so I've got my voltages coming in. The 20 volts coming in is 18. I don't know if that's good enough or not. I'm sure it's unregulated, but usually when they're unregulated, they're a little high, not a little low. But these transistors, they're loose. I don't know if they're transistors. They're just loose. They're floating. Completely loose. So I'm gonna pull this board and at least reflow the solder on it so that it's not, connections are just cooked on this thing. So pull it out, check for shorts, resolder it, and go from there. So somebody has done some work on that, at least reflowed that or replaced it. But look at this one here. So if I flip that, you see it's, the pads, it looks like they're connected on, something to point with on this side, but that side there, that trace there, it's not, I don't think it's connected to that. And these other two, I'm wiggling more than just the heat sink. I don't know how well y'all can see this, but the whole thing it's loose in the socket from the top. So it is soldered to a hunk of solder, but the hunk of solder is not attached to the board. And this one is the same situation. Actually, this one may not be quite so bad. No, I can see it. You can see the whole blob there moving. So somebody has resoldered this, and I guess they didn't get it quite hot enough. So I'm going to try to remove this solder, clean them up, and replace it. Actually, before I do that, I might just check and see if any of these are shorted out, and yeah, just go through the board with the multimeter. I'm just on diode test here. Okay, that one looks good. I've got 1.5, go the other way. Usually if it's 1.5 one way, you go the other way, it's 0.6. Or something close to it. And I don't know what, without getting the schematic, well, I've got the schematics out. I guess I could look. There's 0.6, and there's 0.6. Okay, those two are good. Before there, I hadn't found no combination on this one. Oh, there's two. Sometimes when they get resoldered, they're harder to get electrical connection on. There's 0.6, and there's 0.6. Okay, so they all seem good. Check all these diodes here. Well, it's blocking like it's supposed to. And there's one more there. That's one of the little, I think that might be a Zener. They run a little high. Let's see if this one's also, oops, I've got to go the other way. Yeah. So I got this Q2. I guess it's this right here, those three. So that all looks good. So I'm just gonna try to get this thing resoldered up a little bit. Maybe it'll work if it's making electrical connection. I gotta find my solder sucker here. I've got a mess on my hands actually. Okay, I was going through and checking these, like going from here to here, or sorry, here to here. This one, it's dead. I mean, you see the trace, it goes right there. It should attach it. But I don't know if y'all can see, maybe if I zoom way in here. Y'all see my finger, yeah. There's a little tiny break. So I'm gonna scratch that off there and just kind of extend that blob over to the trace, and hopefully that'll get that continuity between that point and the trace. That's what I was afraid of, especially when I saw this board and they were kind of peeling up, and so the traces were broken. So there. I think That will alleviate our problem. 0.4 ohms, 0.3. I think that's good because I got a 0.2 offset. So I'm gonna throw this back in the board in the game and see if I've got all my voltages before. So which way does this go? I think it goes like the CN1. Yeah, it goes like this. So I had my inputs, but I didn't have all my outputs. So I'll see if I got them now. So I put the display power board back in there. I measured my voltages. They were all good except for this blue one out there. It's supposed to be 12 volts out, which is this one here. And I remembered reading on PinWiki something about if the display is not plugged in, the voltage is different. And what it said was that this 12 volts, if the display isn't plugged in, it will read around 20 volts, which is what I'm getting. I do have the display plugged in, but it's not operating. And it said that you come in with the 20 volts here, and it uses VR1, variable resistor, to make the 12 volts. So I'm assuming it's using that resistor to resist the current and drop the voltage. It doesn't show it. At least I don't see it on here. I mean, that just dead ends and then it just pops over here. Maybe I'm just missing it. Maybe there's somebody yell out. I don't know. Anyway, so the short version is I think this is working. I just don't have a signal to the board from the MPU. So I believe that's fixed. I'm hoping. So I just got to get one of these in the mail. So it's going to be a week, and then I can burn that and see where I'm at. This is blinking. The blinking, I know that when this game properly boots, that blinks once or twice and then it stops. But I'm assuming the reason it's continuing to blink is because it's not booted up. I'm going under the assumption. I can't find any written guide to describe this. There's threads on Pinside that get into it, but geez, reading that stuff is laborious. And it's just some dude. Now, if the dude is Chris Hibbler, I'll believe it, but it's so much nicer when it's written up on PinWiki. And unfortunately, the wiki guide for this game, or for this White Star series of games, is just not very great yet. So I got my EEPROM shipped in here. Looks like they were, I don't know what that is, but anyway, they are the right 27C 1001. They're the right chip. So I'm gonna get to scraping some of these labels off. Maybe cut my finger, I don't know. Yeah, that's not gonna work. That came off pretty good. As long as I get that window free. Scrape off about as many as I can fit in here. Let this thing get to cooking and see if I can get Harley fired up. All right, so that thing spent about 15 minutes in my eraser. I got put in 6 of them. The other 5 are still cooking. This one's done and it is erased. I'll do a blank check real quick just to show you. Then I'm gonna load up the software, burn the ROM, and stick it in the game, and hopefully it boots up. And if it doesn't, I've got bigger issues. I don't know. I got to go back to my message log. Chip is blank, so I'm gonna load up my ROM, and hopefully it writes it. Sometimes it'll crash. If it does, it's usually, I assume it's because it's a bad chip. Usually if it won't write to a chip, it will never write to a chip. They just throw it away. And it's writing quickly, it's not hanging up, so that's good. And almost done. It's verified after it writes it. I was watching Joe's Arcade one time, and he was saying that somebody told him, I think, that it's good to write them twice. I don't know. Well, we're almost done. It's like watching paint dry. Okay, we're written, we're verified. I'm gonna go pop this in the game and see if we get some action. All right, so I got the ROM in there. I got the game plugged in. Do a smoke test. Please come up. Hey, I heard a dong. I don't know if it was doing the dong before. Still nothing. Well, that really sucks. Yeah. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to dig a little deeper. I guess I'll get back to you once I figure something else out. Well, I opened the door and it started making sounds and booted up. That's a new one to me. Maybe that's the way these starting white stars are after you replace a battery, or replace a battery basically. Got a new. So the first boot up, you have to open the coin door to get it to boot, because I'm gonna shut the door to the coin door. Now it's on. I mean, I literally just walked over here off camera, opened the door, and it booted up. Anyway, it is booted up, and I have no idea really what the status of this game is, other than it's booted. We don't have a display. In logistics, I just went out, I bought a new one of these boards. Yeah. It's just a mirror. It's exactly the same thing. I mean, I'm sure I could have gone through and at some point figured out which one of these components or which couple of components were bad. Nothing, like I said, nothing tested bad with the diode test, continuity test, resistance test. Using my multimeter, I couldn't isolate what was bad on here. I swapped that one diode. I could have started swapping some of these transistor voltage regulators, whatever they are, more of the diodes. But it's a fairly cheap board, and in the interest of time, just swapped it out. So I'm gonna turn it on here, do a smoke test. Oh, I can already see the glow. Yeah, that did. Actually, that's a pretty good looking display. So that's good. That motorcycles are making some noise, but at least it's operating. So that's cool. So now it's booted up, I can get the thing running and see what else is working or not working. Wow, that's got a lot of erosion. That could use a Cliffy right there. I don't even know if Cliffy would lay far enough over there to cover that up. Cover up most of it. Anyway, I think that's all I'm gonna do for the day. I'm up here on the Saturday just dropping stuff off. That came in the mail, and I just wanted to see if it's gonna work. So it did. So that's it for today. All right, so I got this Harley pulled into the lobby, and it's all booted up. I'm gonna just start. I may start just by cleaning it a little bit. The exterior is pretty nasty. It's like, yeah, it's real nasty. So I think I'm gonna just clean this thing off a little bit. It almost looks like there's mold or something. I don't know, or maybe that's the sticker coming off, or like the black is coming off. The green's underneath. I don't know. I'm gonna see what happens when I clean it. I'm gonna clean this up a little bit. It's gonna need new rubbers. If I click in here, you see that one's about to go. These are a little bit better. Some of these got to those because they're a little bit more important, slingshots, and they're easier to get to. Like that one's pretty crusty right there. I'll zoom in. Yeah, I mean, this game hadn't played in a while, and it's like you put it back into service and it's gonna go. A lot of rubbers are missing. That post rubber's gone. Probably supposed to be one right in front of that sackle. That one's pretty hard. That one's missing there. So a bunch of them, that one's missing there. There are a bunch of them missing. So I'm gonna re-rubber the game. A couple of them are gonna be a little bit difficult to get to. The game's just pretty, wow, I didn't even notice that. That's a massive gouge. I don't know, maybe that's just the Mylar has been pulled up right there. That's what it is, the Mylar is missing from there. I guess that's that kicker did that. Wow, this game's had a lot of plays on it, I'll say that. I've got the handlebars down below for that. So I'm gonna clean it up. Looks like most of the bulbs, I don't have it in bulb test, but most of the bulbs seem like they're going. I'll do a lamp test and see if all of them are, and make sure all the switches are going, all the solenoids are going, just kind of go through the entire game, see what's up. Start using this all-purpose spray away on the cabinet here. And I'm gonna spray it on there and let it eat for a little bit and wipe it off. Get some on the head. And spray a little bit more. Because too much is probably just enough for this game. We'll let that sit for a little bit. All right, this thing looks a lot better after being cleaned up a little bit. I just went over it once with the spray away. I got that much dirt off of it. That was a clean rag when I started. Not clean anymore. I think I'll start by let's heck, why don't we just play a game? That's kind of fun. Okay, that's enough of that nonsense. I think what I'll do, I'll just leave it in the game, and I'll go around and hit switches, see if all the switches are, at least most of them are working. Kicking the ball out with should. I think maybe one of these banks of drop targets is not scoring all of them, because this one reset, I thought. And then, yeah, it's doing all the letters, and it reset. Okay, we'll try this one. Got the L, got the I, no V. So the V's dead. Let's try these.
Fifth gear, but you're free to proceed, son. You ain't out of my jurisdiction yet. 36 miles to Phoenix.
All those are working. I think my pop bumpers are working. We know that's working. There's a switch there. That one works. Not sure that switch is. Yeah, when I hit it, it's scoring up the top. Probably just go and switch test. Be a better way to do this. That one definitely, that put me in multi-ball. Let me just switch to switch test. I'll be easier. Now I'm in my switch test, and now I can just touch these things and. So yeah, same as last time. So we're gonna go with these rollovers. We know the out holes are working, trough switch. I assume there's some switches at the top of here, but maybe not. There's not an opto or something. No, there is an opto right there, and that is not working. Well, that'll be a fun one to fix. Yeah, there's an opto right here, shooting across there. You see it on my finger. Let me, sometimes you gotta have those for the optos. Sure enough, okay, that's cool, because that's actually working. So if you saw what I did, I put the high voltage on, because those optos need 20 volts usually, or something like that. So, I don't know if there were any other optos are at. I don't see any right off the top of my head. I know the switch in there is working. I know the switch in there is working because it's kicking the ball out. Let's see our spinner. That spinner was stuck upside down, so it could use a little looby-dooby maybe, a little tuning. That's most of the switches. Slingshots are slinging. What else? That's all the switches I see at the moment here. Let me look around a little bit more. Here's one back here. And there's one back there. And there's a magnet back there. I thought the ball got stuck earlier, but that was just the magnet grabbing it. By the way, there's a second button here. See what that says. Right button skill. So, I'll have to figure out what that's supposed to do, because I don't have any idea. I think the switches are working. That's good news, because that's a whole mess of nothing I don't have to do. So I'll go into the lamp test here. See if I can get over there to it. Oops. If I can get to it. Previous. There we go. Previous. Lamp. How about all? There we go. So everything that's got a lamp should be blinking. Wow, don't see any out at the moment. That green one there is out. That one's blinking. That red one there is out. All those are going. So we got a green and a red stoplight. The GIs, geez, the ones that I can see, and those are the ones that are lit, are all lit. There's a dead one there. There's a dead one there. There's a dead one there. Maybe I'll take that plastic. I'm gonna take that off to get some plastic, the rubbers anyway, probably. So I've got some dead GIs. Yeah, there's some more dead GIs back up underneath here also. Pretty dark up in here. Yeah, so I've got some dead GIs, but it looks like and only 2 controlled lights that I can see. So those are probably just bulbs. Let's just say they are. And as far as I know, all the solenoids are working. I mean, it's kicking all the balls and doing all the ball thingies. I still don't know what this switch is here, so I'm gonna start going through this. I guess I'll start with do these 2 controlled lamps that I'm missing. I swapped out those 2 lamps, and they're working. Put it in flasher test. All the flashers are working, so I think this thing is 100%, with the exception of needs rubbers, needs a few GI lights. I haven't tested this button. Don't know what it's for, but I'll figure it out. So I think I'm gonna put this playfield down and I'm gonna clean it up just a little bit. He didn't really want he didn't want a full shop job or anything. I'm not stripping it down, doing a detailed clean. I'm just gonna clean it up a little bit. It's pretty filthy. A little bit go a long ways on this one though. So I just looked at my notes on this game, and I'm LED in this game. So all these bulbs, this is gonna be a big job LED in this game. And these sockets are my least favorite sockets. But anyway, I'm gonna do it. So before I do that, I just put it in switch test one more time. I'm gonna figure out what's wrong with these. And I already figured it out, I just looked at it. This one here is not going. And if you look real close there, look at that little diode hanging there. It just came undone. I bet if I can hold that with one finger and hit it. See, now I heard it. Just a little dab of solder, get that drop target going. And then I think we'll have all the switches working. And then I'm going to get busy and swap a whole bunch of bulbs. So I got about half the lights done. They twinkle a little bit because the film rate of the scan rate of my phone is a little bit different. The LEDs don't like it, but you don't see it in person. It looks like they're flickering, but they're not actually. You can tell like these are much brighter than these. That stoplight is a lot brighter than that stoplight. So I've done this side over here, and I did that stoplight there too. Haven't done any of the GIs left, but I've still just got to keep going. All right, so I got all the controlled lights. So next I'm going to go ahead and do the GI lights, and I'm just going to do all of them for the bottom because I'm not doing a full tear down. They're pretty easy to find because they've got these big connector wires on them, and they're all daisy chains. So there's 3 there, there's 3 more there. If you just look around, you see them. So that's a flasher there, but there's another one. There's another one. So you just take off one little screw and pull it out. So I am definitely going to turn the power off when I do this. When I do the controlled lights, I'll leave the power on. Probably shouldn't, but I always do. But I can fix it if I break it. So if you're concerned about fixing it if you break it, definitely turn the power off. But it just makes it easier for me because if the bulb doesn't make good contact, I know it immediately. So I'm going to start pulling all these out and get after it. I've done the bottom half of the GIs. You can see the GIs I've done because you got the bright white light coming out from the perimeter. if you go up to one of these that I haven't done, like that one I haven't done yet, it's lit, but it's kind of yellowish and it's not very bright. So if I lower this play field, you see how much brighter it is. I mean, some of them were a lot, well, probably 25% of them were burnt out completely, but even the ones that were working, they weren't near as bright as these. These things are like 3 or 4 times as bright. They're 2 SMD, which means they're double. That one's not quite. It's a flaky socket there. Anyway, it's way brighter, so I'm just going to keep moving on up. And maybe I'll show you doing one of these. If anybody wants to do them yourself, it's pretty simple on this, where each one's wired individually. I'm going to turn the game on. The first thing is just to locate them, and they've got the big GI wires on them, and they're all daisy chains. So once you find one, you just follow them to the rest of them and pull that out. And you can, most of these you can get to the top if you take everything down, but you got to tear down the game to do it. And some of them, that's a lot of work. So you swap that bulb, put it back, screw it back, and it's done. So I got the GIs all swapped out, and man, it's bright. It's so much brighter. I mean, you've got all these lights in the back. You can see the trails, and it's like very attractive to shoot up in there now that it's lit up, and the motorcycle's all lit. So it's like, looks better. The only thing I haven't swapped out those two and those two. And those, basically the flipper mech is right underneath those, so I can't get to the bottom. So I'm gonna take this apart from the top, and that will give me the opportunity to go ahead and take this little rail off and clean in the ultrasonic. It's pretty filthy, and in terms of taking something off, putting the ultrasonic, those two guides, that would do more good on this game in terms of cleanliness than anything, because you can really see them, and they're really nasty, and they will really come out looking a lot better. So I'll go ahead and do that. And so I think I'm ready to, start tearing this thing down a little bit and swapping rubbers and cleaning it off. So I got the bottom of this playfield torn down, so I can get these out and swapped. These lane guides are going to get cleaned up super clean. They'll look a lot better after a few minutes in the ultrasonic. So I went ahead and unbolted this ramp all the way to here. So there's 4 or 5 little bolts on the ground. Give me enough room to get in here to get the plastics off, so I can get the rubbers off, and I'm going to clean it up some, and then I'll re-rubber everything, at least all this stuff down here, and then we'll move on up. So I was going through this game, putting all new rubbers, and that surely looks like a rubber, but put a rubber up there next to it, and it's way taller. It's like a 1/4 inch taller. So I got this manual out. Fortunately, I had a hard copy, came with the game. That's always nice. And G's are the post rubbers, and that's that point right there. No G. I don't think it's supposed to have a post rubber. At least the manual doesn't show one. So I'm done with the rubbers and the lights. I'm gonna have Jane clean this thing up a little bit more. But for the meantime, I'm gonna rebuild these flippers. This one is, the bushing is particularly shot, just total slop. This one's not quite as bad. The flipper links are likewise, they're not very good. So I'm gonna rebuild these real quick. So here's 2 bushings that came out of there. They're like this. So this is the right one, the one that was super sloppy. You can just see. There's one axis that's even worse than the others, just because that's the one that had the most to wear in it. Just like horrible. So I always wonder, who replaces one bushing? Like, replace both of them. I don't know. And that part sucks. This could be an original, or maybe it's a replacement, but it's nylon. This is not. This is just hard plastic, and these things should be nylon. The nylon ones are gonna wear better. Anyway, I'm gonna put in 2 fresh ones, and they'll be nice and tight. And I'm gonna put in new flippers. They're ugly, first of all, and at this point, they're probably getting pretty, I can hear it cracking. So a few more ball hits and they'll be gone. So I'll put some fresh ones in. I was doing a little play testing, and this VUC, sometimes it wasn't registering the ball. Sometimes it would, sometimes it wouldn't. That's usually a situation where the switch is just not quite making. So this is the the switch. You can hear it clicking. And I am going to just, well, I'm going to get a tool and I'm going to bend it upwards a little bit so it doesn't have to go quite as far before it clicks. So I'm going to do that right now. So if we can tell, or you can see, I've bent it a little bit. So it's sitting a little higher, a little more proud. And I'll throw a few balls in there and see if it registers. I just started up a game. I'm just going to throw this. That's the buck there, and it pops it right up there. But got it. Okay. So it was doing it before, and then it stopped. I'll throw it 7 or 8 times. See if it keeps finding it. If it does, I'm going to call it good. Maybe I'll just do a play video. Did that? I don't know. Was that delayed or was that just? Maybe that's just the normal wait. That's too long. Yeah, it didn't find it that time. Well, I didn't quite get it. So it's better.
You're on your way to Boston.
But it's not quite right. Yeah, I think it should kick it right out of there, just almost immediately. I guess it depends how it rolls down, whether it goes to the front or the back of that hole. Because sometimes it works real well.
50,
sometimes it doesn't.
You're headed for Boston.
Maybe if it just dribbles in. I don't know. Seems like it's working pretty decent now. As soon as I say that. See, that was like a second or two delay. It's weird that it'd be a second or two delay. It seems like it either work or not work because it's not moving. Nothing's moving in there. Now it's doing a ball search. Well, I'm gonna have to adjust it a little bit more. Yeah, clearly. I may have to end up swapping it. I think I'll just go ahead and swap that switch. Be done with it. I got this in the switch test mode. It should be. No, it's not. It's I'm gonna hit another switch. Hear that sound? It was just a second ago. It was working, and now it's not. Make sure these things are soldered on there. It could be a bad solder joint. Just a second ago, it was working 80% of the time, and now it's 0. I'm gonna swap this out. All right, so swapping out that switch, fix that kicker, the buck. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a play video here. Jane's still gonna clean this up some more. The drop targets are still kind of nasty. I'm leaving all that for her. Huh, why not? Yeah. So I'm gonna fire this dude up and let's ride. Got a pretty violent shake. By the way, I figured out that second button is this little ball safe right there between the flippers, so you can really no excuse for losing the ball there.
Red light.
I don't know what the mystery rider does for you, but it must be good.
Third gear.
Give me a gear. So that ramp usually has a gear there. And there is a fifth multi-ball. Okay, there's a multi-ball. So my back ball, second ball. Jesus, that thing's loud. They really want me to shoot the loops, looks like. Oh, now one super jackpot, I think, is the ramp shot, if I can hit it. Oh! That wasn't cheating. The ball got stuck. Oh, don't do that like that. Wow. I think I had that ramp set up for a total super jackpot. It's like it wants me to shoot the hatch. There we go. Is that it?
Tabs collected.
I think that was it.
Next stop. Good going.
I don't know that registered between there. I'm gonna put my finger in there and find out. I know it was earlier. It is not working. The little glowing LED is not glowing. I'm gonna keep playing for now.
Tabs, hurry up.
But that's gonna be another fun thing to play with. Ah.
Jurisdiction yet.
Oh. I don't know if you see that. I touched the LED and it started working again. So I'm gonna have to pull that board and resolder that LED on there. So that's pretty minor. That's what I was hoping it was gonna do.
We're on your way to Portland. There goes that mystery rifle.
Oh, that mystery rifle. Ah, video mode. Shoot. Oh, the video mode's awesome. I did realize you are supposed to run over the people, which I totally approve of. But I didn't get it. Oh, this thing's got a really awesome video mode or match. One of the better ones. The match is a tramp stamp, you know, if you like into that. So whatever, you know. One of my love. I don't know. I kind of like. I like the match. I don't like tramp stamps, but I do like the match, you know, whatever. I don't know what to say. Anyway, if you like the video, click like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. And I've got at least one more thing over here. Yeah, touch it, and it gets red. So I'm going to resolder that switch, and Jane's going to clean this up a little bit more, and it's going to be done.